Welcome back, everybody. You're listening to the Metal Magdalene with Jet. Tonight is our Las VegasDeath Fest 10th anniversary pre-fest broadcast. And again, we're going to be bringing you music and information on the fest, as well as some interviews with some of the artists that will be appearing at the fest. And right now we have with us John of Incantation. Welcome back to the show, John.
Hey, what's up? Nice to be on here. Hell yeah, what's up?
So, John, you formed Incantation almost 30 freaking years ago already. I was looking at that. I'm like, holy crap. They've been around forever, like us, you know? So what's it been like throughout the years, John, with the band?
Well, first of all, right off the bat, it's loony to think that our band is older than probably most people coming to our shows.
And my listeners, I know.
So that's always a trip because we never would have thought that, but the kind of music we're playing, that it would have a longevity like that. So that's just amazing. And I thank my lucky stars all the time because it's just just amazing that people still dig it and stuff like that. But I'm sorry. What was your question again, though? I forgot.
I was just asking you, what's it been like? I mean, like, what have been like some of the highlights and some of the struggles? I mean, 30 years is a long time. There had to be some shit going on in there, John.
Oh, yeah, yeah, definitely my share of shit going on for sure. Well, I mean, really, probably some of the most difficult struggles was like going from a band that, was just a underground demo band and all of a sudden get tossed into, having a record label, Relapse, which was an upstart at the time. But the fact that really made things loony is that Around came out and did really well. And like, we never expected that, we expected the album to come out and probably everybody hated and we have no future or whatever. So it's like when people actually liked it and liked it a lot, it was like really crazy, to go from the, all of a sudden realize that like, people actually, could relate to what we're doing. It was just that really kind of screwed us up. If you're like, I was probably 22 when the album came out or something, so like I just wasn't even like in the right frame of mind to like properly all of a sudden turn into someone who's running an actual semi-professional band from just a demo band, so that's like really the craziest transition, I would say. But just besides that, just dealing with different trends in music and stuff, because when you first start and like people are really, really digging you and really into it, and then sometimes like, times change, the trends go different directions and stuff, and then to have like the wave kind of going not in your direction, say like later on in the 90s with a lot of symphonic black metal and atmospheric doom, and with the rise of power metal and stuff, that stuff kind of like worked against us. And it was just it's sometimes weird to adapt to like, fuck, what the hell happened, You just don't really know how to deal with it at first, because it's one of those things where if you're doing well, you just kind of think that you're going to be doing well all the time. Because, we didn't really look at it like we're not really changing our music, but it's just like the environment changed. And it's just like, okay, well, this year our stuff, what we do isn't cool anymore, and it's just like, you don't even, at that point you're just like, are we gonna keep doing this even though no one likes it, or are we gonna do it anyway? And, we obviously made the decision just to go ahead because we realized that when we started the band that we weren't really planning on being popular anyway. So it wasn't like it was a pretty easy decision to keep doing it because just like, we decided, screw it. If people like it or don't like it. I mean, there were always people that liked it. It was just the quantity of people that liked it changed throughout the years and stuff. But we decided, well, screw it. There's still some people that dig it. Plus, we dig what we do. And it's like, at the end of the day, that's the most important thing for a musician like us. Because we have to play music that means a lot to us. I mean, if we were doing music that was made for mass consumption, death metal definitely wouldn't be the outlet for it, you know?
Right.
So, you know, so we kind of know what we're getting ourselves into, but it is sometimes a struggle to deal with that. And then a lot of our peers kind of dropped out of the scene for a couple of years and stuff when things got tough. But, you know, us being the stubborn bastards that we are, we're just like, screw it, you know? We just called everybody else posers, you know, and said, we're going on, you know? And just because I think the true test of if you love something is you do it regardless of, you know, if people like it or don't like it, or if it's like the cool thing of the month. And I mean, luckily now death metal's gotten popular over the last 10 years. It's like it had some crazy resurgence, which I never expected it to happen. But it's like, you know, it's pretty awesome to have things be going like better now than they ever have in the past. And I think a lot of it on our end is just because we know what the hell we're doing now. The first time when death metal got popular, we started, we're just like, what the hell's even going on? You know, like all of a sudden we're like a touring band and stuff, and it's like, huh, okay, well, you know, we were still looking at it like, you know, a bunch of assholes just playing death metal kind of stuff, and all of a sudden we're on tour, you know, so we're just a bunch of assholes on tour, and, you know, now we're a lot more respectful and a lot cooler, and, you know, you deal with it a lot better after you kind of have experience doing it, you know. When you're young kids, you probably, you know, everyone acts like an arrogant idiot because it's just part of being a young kid.
Right,
I mean,
right.
That was almost part of what made us good, is because we were such assholes, you know, because we're just like, screw everybody, we're doing it our way. You can piss off. If you don't like it, you're a poser, you know?
So John, you were talking about how, you know, all these trends were changing, and you're like, what the fuck is going on? So during all that time, were you ever guys tossed on some tour with, like, some bands that were, like, just nothing like you guys at all?
Well, we didn't really have that problem as far as opening, because any of those bands wouldn't want us. So we were pretty lucky. But like as far as opening bands, yeah, we've had some bands, you know, that, you know, I mean, the guys might be nice enough or whatever, but it's totally like wasn't our style. It was
right.
Yeah, it was a band called, was it Year of Desolation, that opened up for us on a tour. And it was, I mean, they were cool guys, but, I mean, the music, it just wasn't any, you know, real crossover with fans. And plus, they didn't really have, like, they were a growing band, so they didn't even really have a lot of fans. So it was just like our fans going to the show being like, why are you touring with this band? You know?
Right.
We were told that, you know, they're supposed to, you know, help the draw because they're bringing some different people, but if the band's not big enough to really draw, it's really difficult. And there was another one too, god darn, it was one of those like metalcore bands, like kind of like the New England type metalcore bands. I can't think of who they are now we toured with, but it was just kind of like, it was just like, you know, oil and water, you know. I mean, they were, like I said, they were nice enough guys, but it just, you know, we were getting pushed into doing, you know, tours with bands that it had no connection with us. I mean, and the thing is that it's okay to tour with different style of bands, but to have bands that just don't have any crossover appeal whatsoever is useless, you know. You know, I mean, we've toured with, you know, we could tour with black metal bands and grindcore bands, and there's a crossover to some extent of fans. But when you go to like new metal and stuff like that, it's just not our thing, you know. Like if we were, you know, opening up for Dillinger Escape Plan, I just don't see us really winning over that crowd.
Right.
It just, because I remember when our album came out, The Infernal Storm was around the time Dillinger Escape Plan. It was like they were like the hottest thing since sliced cheese, and you know, we were like, you know, our album came out, and like everybody who got the album, because both were on Relapse. So, like, all the same people that reviewed Dillinger Escape Plan reviewed us, and, like, what the hell? Why aren't these guys, you know, like, up with the times? They're playing this old school death metal crap. It's like, well, you don't get it. That's kind of the idea. You know, we're not trying to be trendy. But there's one thing that's really been great about the band, though, is that no matter what, there's always a underground following that's always been there for us and stuff. And it's really cool. I mean, a lot of like the death grind bands that are playing the fest, a lot of those bands kind of grew up listening to bands like Incantation and whatnot, Immolation, and bands in our kind of era. So it's really cool to play with those bands because I might think that okay, it's a little bit different than us, the gore grind thing or the porn gore, whatever that kind of stuff is. But it's like those people are actually taking kind of what we did and maybe going a step further or like maybe 5 steps further.
Right.
And that's really the same thing that we did to bands like, I don't know, Possessed and Death and Destruction. We kind of took that and tried to go 5 steps forward. So, it's kind of like, in a way, it's almost like the next level of death metal. So it's kind of cool to know that for some of the bands, we play with and stuff that, they actually look at us as an influence, which is, always an honor, because, as a musician, to have people consider your music influential is kind of like,
sure.
It's like kind of like, aw, isn't that cute? That's so nice, I mean, not being sarcastic.
No, I know.
But it's just like, it makes you like blush almost because it's like, you never thought that in your life that, nobody thinks when they start a band that, 20, 30 years later, people are going to look up to you as an influence, and that's like the greatest compliment I think anybody can give you is that, they've listened to your albums, got inspiration, and started writing their own music,
Absolutely. And now also, John, last year you guys released your album, Profane Nexus. So how has the touring been following up that album?
Well, it's been really good. It's kind of a bummer because after we did that Marduk tour, we had kind of a dry spell for a while on tour, and it just totally worked out like crap because we were supposed to have a European tour around that time, and it just kept getting changed and moved around, and then it ended up just not even happening. So it's like we kept holding this space open for a tour, and it would keep getting kind of moved a little bit, so we couldn't really organize anything. So it was driving us crazy. And then, like I said, we finally had to get rid of our booking agent in Europe because it was just getting silly. So, when it first started, things kind of got. It started off really good with Marduk, and then kind of slowed down a little bit because we were just, trying to get our ducks in a row, which didn't work out at all. But then once the year turned around, things have been going. Got right back on track. Once we kind of made the decision that, the booking agent had to European booking agent had to shit or get off the pot kind of thing with doing something, we just realized, that we just got to, move ahead and figure that. And once we did that, everything's been on track. And we did a great West Coast run with Phobia and Exhume, which was a total blast. I mean, both bands are really cool guys, and it was just really great. We're both totally different than us, but at the same time, our fans kind of cross over, and it was great. It was just a great vibe. And then we did a couple of East Coast headline dates, and then some with opening up for Mayhem, which was a total blast too, and that worked out great. So that's going good. And then we're doing the Las Vegas Fest, which we're really psyched about, and then immediately after that, we're going to Italy to do 5 dates, a headline tour in Italy. And hopefully I can pick up some pizza with prosciutto on it or something like that. And then we come back and we do Maryland Death Fest right after that. And it's crazy because right after that, that weekend of Maryland Death Fest, we're not able to hang out there because we have to go back to my place. We're actually jamming some new songs for our next album because we want to start recording in June, the new album. Even though we don't really have a release date, we decided that we were going to, since we had the songs for so long already, the new ones, we're going to start kind of, recording that stuff and just kind of doing it in between the crevices of touring. So whenever we're finished touring, hopefully our album will be done, and then we can just give it to Relapse and then let them, figure out their big strategic plan on when to release it. But as long as I can give it to them and say, okay, it's ready to go whenever you are, if you want to do it now or wait a year, whatever, it's done, on our end. It's not going to be like we finish the tour and then, we have to rush to go into the studio and try to finish it. We'd rather just do it casually because we have the luxury of, since we have like a home studio now where we can record the stuff, that we don't have to make the big event. Back in the day, we'd have to take like a month out to go to the studio, and you do it all at once, and it's like, it's such a bummer if you're like having a bad day recording or not playing well. It just sucks to be under that pressure. Like, the pressure is good to some extent, but sometimes, you also need to like get away from it for a little bit so you can actually listen to how things are going. And for some reason, if it sucks, at least we do it at our home studio.
Right.
We're wasting time, but not money.
Right.
Back in the day, you write some stuff that, you realize doesn't sound as good recorded. You're really kind of bumming because you're like, that cost us a lot of money.
Yeah, absolutely. I can understand that. That's nice. But so that's kind of a luxury for you now to at least have that. And like you said, at least if you don't like something, you have the luxury that you go changing it and not like, well, fuck, man, we already did it. We can't get back in the studio now for another 2 months or whatever. So, hey, you live and learn, you live and learn. So,
yeah, exactly.
So we're here today, like you had mentioned, we're talking about the Las VegasDeath Fest, the 10th anniversary of the fest. Now, have you ever been to this fest before, John?
No, I've been wanting to go for quite a while, and I've never made it out there. Just, around that time has always been tough for me. For the last couple of years, we were almost considered like the house band at the Maryland Death Fest. So usually this time of year, or that time of year, since it's the same month, is usually either busy for, like last year we were in the middle of recording, so we weren't able to go and stuff. So no, I haven't been able to go, but we did that West Coast run it was end of February or early March, and so many people from like Arizona and California and all that area were talking about the fest and how kick-ass it was, and I actually didn't realize that it was like as big of a fest as it was. When I first heard about it, I kind of just thought, okay, it's going to be just another fest or whatever, and it could be cool, but I didn't realize that it was like, going to be an outdoor thing, and that they, get a really good crowd there and I didn't realize like how nice it was. So I'm actually kind of bummed I didn't get to go in the past, but I just never really, realized. But everybody I talked to out in the West Coast was really, excited to go and stuff. So, once I realized like it's going to actually have a lot of travelers, not going to just be kind of like the, the, what do you call it, Las Vegas crowd or whatever, which is cool. But, since that, we have to work on a different set than we would normally do because we just was out there and we don't want to go. The worst thing I do is like, we go back to a place and like all these people come to see us and you play the same song. It's kind of wah, wah, wah.
Exactly.
Because some bands do that all the time. Like a lot of bands, they'll get a set list for the album, and no matter how many times you see them, it won't change at all, And it's like, for me, it's just like, I got to change it up because I look at it like if I'm a metal fan, I want to go to a show, and if I like a band and I see them a couple times, I don't want to see the exact repeat, on the next time I see them. I want to get some surprises and stuff. So that's what we're doing for that fest is we're adding a couple extra songs, which means a lot of extra work on our end and trying to tighten up some songs that we haven't played as much. But it's worth it because I look at being a metal fan, as far as going to a show and watching a band. I try not to just look at it from the a band point of view, but I try to look at it as a fan point of view because I'm a fan, and I know when I go to see bands, I sometimes like to see them pull something out their butt that I wouldn't expect them to do play or something like that. Just something kind of something cool. When you really like a band, it's always good to see the songs real well. But if you're a real fan and you know the album really well, and they do something that's a little bit offbeat or something they haven't played in a long time, especially a band like us that's been around 30 years, there's a lot of songs I haven't played in a long time. So if you take one or two out every now and then, I think people really appreciate it, because we like to always appreciate our history and our future. You know, we're not one of those bands that are just forward thinking, because we realize that without, you know, our older material, that we wouldn't be where we are now, because that's kind of like the you know, not stepping stone, but that's kind of like the building blocks to it. But at the same time, we don't want to depend solely on the old stuff, but, you know, we like to kind of walk that line between, you know, making the show entertaining for people that have been fans for a long time, and then some of the newer fans that might, you know, because we have a lot of new fans that have gotten into us, you know, in the last, say, I don't know, 6-7 years or something, a whole new generation. So we, you know, we like to try to work it out that we can get, you know, make everyone at least a little bit happy, or maybe everyone a little bit bummed out because we're not playing enough from their side, whatever. But
so are you staying for the whole fest, or you just got to play your show and leave?
Well, unfortunately, we're not staying. We're going there on Saturday, and we're going to stop by the fest Saturday night and play on Sunday. But we can't stay. I mean, we couldn't stay for the whole thing because we have that Italy tour.
Oh, that's right. Yep.
So we basically, like, the Friday before, we have to practice to get ready for the tour and stuff like that. If we were just doing the fest, we would have been able to go out. I mean, I would have went out for all 3 days, but since we have to do the tour too, you know, I kind of have to be responsible and go to band practice.
Yeah.
You know, but I'm definitely looking forward to hanging out. I mean, the last time we played in Las Vegas, the show was really awesome. The crowd was great. And I'm sure this is just going to be even way more insane, especially with some of the craziness that you said is going to be going on and stuff like that. It's definitely going to, I think it's definitely end up being like a cool death metal freak show. And I kind of like that, because that reminds me of when we played the House of Horrors in San Antonio. It was like a horror convention slash, you know, fest or whatever. And it was kind of fun because, you know, like I said, it was like a horror convention, so it had all that stuff of a horror convention, but at the same time, you know, it wasn't even like all metal bands. It was just like a really whole bunch of bands that just played like eerie music, or just some kind of something either gore related or satanic or something like that. But it was just kind of it's a cool vibe when you play like a freak show kind of fest, and I get a vibe that Las Vegas is going to be a freak show from what you've been telling me.
Yeah, it absolutely sounds like it. And like you said, you know, there's a lot of different bands going to be there, so, you know, I'm sure you're going to see a lot of people that you know from these bands that you probably haven't seen for a long time that you could get together with again. And so it sounds like it's going to be a good time. Like I said, Freak Show 2 is going on there for real, and that ought to be interesting too, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'll make sure to send you pictures.
Oh, please. And I would appreciate it. I would appreciate it if you could do it like around dinner time too, because that's always the best time.
Yeah, I'm gonna make sure I set my phone to get my alarm to go off right around your dinner time.
Thank you so much. Yes,
really gross pictures.
I appreciate you thinking of me, John. And hey, I'm gonna let you get going. So everybody, Incantation is gonna be performing at this year's 10th anniversary of the Las Vegas Death Fest. And John, thanks for stopping by tonight, and have fun at the fest.
Thank you so much, and we appreciate being on the fest, and we look forward to hanging out with everybody, you know, talking about metal, or just, you know, headbanging, or being freaks, because there's going to be a freak show going on.
That's perfect.